Imagine walking into an arena so loud that every cheer shakes the floor beneath your feet. Cameras flashing from every corner, millions tuned in from home. And one player on the court not just playing basketball, but rewriting the entire story of the game. This isn't just about points on the scoreboard. This is about pride, legacy, and money. Because in one unforgettable showdown, Caitlin Clark didn't just beat a legendary dynasty. She humbled Geno Auriemma himself and cost UConn millions. What you're about to hear isn't just another game recap. It's the moment when the old guard of women's basketball faced a force of nature so relentless that even one of the greatest coaches of all time had to bow his head and admit everything had changed. Caitlin Clark's journey didn't happen overnight. From a small town in Iowa, she built herself brick by brick, training for hours, perfecting her shot and sharpening her vision of the game. By the time she arrived at Iowa, she wasn't just another freshman. She was a storm waiting to be unleashed. She saw the court differently, anticipated movements before they happened, and launched shots from distances that looked impossible. Fans didn't just watch her, they were captivated, waiting to see how far her talent could really go. For decades, Geno Auriemma's UConn Huskies weren't just a team, they were an empire. Championships piled up, undefeated seasons rolled in, and recruits begged for a chance to wear the blue and white. The psychological edge was as sharp as the tactical one. Teams often walked into the arena already beaten by the aura of UConn. Auriemma built this dynasty with discipline, meticulous detail, and a demand for perfection. But even dynasties aren't immune to disruption. When Iowa and UConn met, it wasn't just a game, it was history in the making. The seasoned dynasty versus the fearless rising star. Every possession felt like it carried the weight of the sport's future. Clark didn't just play, she attacked. Her scoring was ruthless. Her passing carved through UConn's defense, and her leadership turned Iowa into a machine of their own. Suddenly, the aura of invincibility around UConn wasn't so untouchable. Every basket was more than 2 or 3 points. It was a message. Clark wasn't intimidated, she wasn't scared of the banners hanging above her, and she certainly wasn't bowing to UConn's legacy. She buried threes that made the crowd gasp. She whipped passes so sharp that her teammates looked unstoppable. Records fell mid-game, and analysts scrambled to keep up. Clark was rewriting history in real time. For Geno Auriemma, it wasn't just about a scoreboard loss. It was about watching decades of psychological dominance chipped away in one night. The dynasty that once felt untouchable suddenly looked vulnerable. Fans could sense it. Commentators couldn't deny it. And even UConn's players looked shaken. This wasn't just another great opponent. They were facing the future, and the future was ruthless. Sports aren't just about wins and losses. They're about money. For years, UConn games were guaranteed moneymakers, filling arenas, pulling in sponsorships, and drawing TV ratings. But Clark's explosion shifted everything. Iowa became the hot ticket, the team everyone wanted to see. Sponsorships started flowing their way. Ratings followed Clark. Not just the Huskies. For Auriemma, this wasn't just about pride. It was millions in lost revenue, influence, and market power. The media couldn't get enough. Headlines screamed, "Clark humbles UConn." Clips of her deep threes and fearless drives went viral. Sports talk shows couldn't stop debating whether this was the beginning of the end for the UConn dynasty. Clark didn't just dominate a game, she dominated the conversation. And every replay, every highlight reel, every viral moment amplified her impact. For years, UConn's biggest weapon wasn't just winning. It was recruiting. Players wanted to be part of a dynasty. But Clark's rise forced recruits to look differently. Why follow the old machine when you could become the centerpiece of a new revolution? Suddenly, Iowa was cool. Suddenly, the spotlight wasn't guaranteed in Connecticut. It was following Caitlin Clark. Around the country, coaches couldn't ignore what had just happened. Rivals praised Clark's vision and toughness. Even Auriemma himself, a man known for his competitive fire, had to acknowledge the magnitude of her performance. And quietly, behind closed doors, every coaching staff in America was reevaluating. If one player could dismantle the dynasty, what did that mean for the future of the game? The fan reactions told the story. Iowa fans flooded social media with celebrations, memes, and viral clips. UConn fans, meanwhile, were left in shock, some angry, some bitter, but most begrudgingly respectful. The changing of the guard was undeniable. Highlight reels looped endlessly. Conversations exploded online, and the nation realized they were watching a shift in history. This wasn't just basketball. This was culture. Clark's performance transcended sports pages and landed on mainstream platforms. She became a trending topic, a viral sensation, and the face of women's basketball's future. Brands raced to sign her. Young players began copying her style. She was no longer just an athlete. She was a cultural force. For decades, the UConn brand meant invincibility. But Clark cracked that image. Suddenly, the dynasty didn't feel eternal. Every loss now looked bigger. Every question about their system louder. Could they adapt? Could they survive in an era where one transcendent player could flip the sport on its head? As UConn stumbled, Iowa soared. Ticket sales skyrocketed. Merch flew off shelves. National coverage made Clark and Iowa must-watch TV. For a program that once played in the shadows of giants, they were now the giant slayers. And every other team wanted a shot at them. Clark's style wasn't just about her talent. It was about her courage to take shots and make plays no one else dared. Other programs began asking, do we need our own Clark? Do we need to recruit differently? Do we need to allow more freedom on the court instead of just relying on systems? Clark forced a shift in thinking across the entire sport. For Geno, it was humbling. After decades of being the hunter, suddenly he was the hunted. His fortress had cracks. And while his coaching brilliance is still respected, the game was no longer his uncontested domain. Caitlin Clark forced him and everyone else to admit that women's basketball had entered a new era. High school stars were watching. Instead of automatically dreaming of UConn, they started dreaming of being the next Clark, building their own legacy instead of being another piece in someone else's machine. That shift in mindset could reshape women's basketball for decades. Beyond numbers and strategies, fans simply loved it. They wanted excitement, drama, and unpredictability. And Clark delivered all of it. For the first time in years, casual fans tuned into women's basketball not because of a dynasty, but because of a single player rewriting history. Weeks after the game, Clark was still dominating headlines. Analysts kept replaying the story. Could she sustain it? Could UConn bounce back? The conversation didn't die. It only grew, and every day the spotlight stayed on Clark. Her influence multiplied. Unlike previous eras, Clark's dominance hit during the height of social media virality. Every play was clipped, edited, memed, and shared millions of times. Her highlights weren't confined to ESPN. They were everywhere, fueling her rise beyond just the basketball world. Young girls everywhere now saw Caitlin Clark as proof that one player can change everything. Her audacity, her long-range bombs, her fearlessness under pressure, all of it inspired the next wave of hoopers to dream bigger. Clark's rise isn't just a story, it's the start of a movement. The age of dynasties controlling everything is fading. The age of transcendent individual talent driving the sport is here. UConn, Geno, and every other program will have to adapt or be left behind. When we look back, this game won't just be a highlight. It'll be remembered as the night when women's basketball truly changed forever. Clark versus Auriemma wasn't just a matchup. It was a turning point. The unstoppable force met the immovable object, and the force broke through. So here's the truth. Caitlin Clark didn't just score points. She scored a cultural victory, a financial shift, and a legacy-defining moment, all in one night. Geno Auriemma's dynasty may survive, but it will never again be untouchable. Clark has ensured that, and as women's basketball moves into its next era, one name will forever stand at the center of it: Caitlin Clark. If you felt the goosebumps watching this story unfold, drop a comment below. Do you think UConn's dynasty is over? And don't forget to subscribe, because this is only the beginning of a revolution that's changing the game forever.